Wetwogerera nga si birungi ebyajja Muhoozi Kainerugaba oluvannyuma lw'ogumu ku mikutu gy'amawulire egikyasinze okubeera egy'amaanyi ogumanyiddwa nga The Times ogusangibwa e Bungereza gumuwandiiseeko ekiwandiiko ekitali kirungi nnyo nga bw'ogenda kiwulira boogedde kumpi buli kikolobero kyonna ekigenda maaso n'okuba nga kikolebwa mu ggwanga erya Uganda era bongedde okujustifyinga nti ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga erya Uganda ekyamazima si byebyo ebigwanirira Muhoozi Kainerugaba erinnya lye lyongedde okulabikira ku muti ku frontline eya omukutu ogwo ogumanyiddwa nga The Times nga bw'ogenda okuwulira mu katambi ne mu bigambo byengenda okuba nga nkuwa kyokka ate mu budde bwe bumu ne Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu n'ayongera okukawaŋŋamula era abadde ayogera ku nsonga za Muhoozi Kainerugaba mu interview gy'abaddemu ne muganda waffe Mordecai Muliisa agenze maaso n'okubaako byannyonnyola nga bingi nnyo ebitali bimu era nga mu byannyonnyodde ategeerezzaamu nga bw'ali omwetegefu okubeera ng'akomawo mu ggwanga erya Uganda essaawa yonna gano tegaba mawulire malungi kubanga bw'akomawo ekisooka takomawo nga muntu wa bulijjo takomawo nga bwe yagenda era nga n'ebimu ku ebyo byazze ng'ayogera singa aba akomyewo ebiyinza okuddirira ekyamazima si birungi eri abakulu abali mu buyinza waliwo ekiwandiiko kyengenda okuba nga nkusomera ayogeddeko finally ye yennyini mu bigambo bye n'ategeeza nti neeno gyendi mu ggwanga lya Amerika nnyinza okuba nti ndimu ekizayiro naye ate siri ekizayiri ebigambo ebyo abinnyonnyodde era nga bw'ogenda okuwulira mu butambi obw'enjawulo bw'engenda okukuwa.
I'm in exile, but I'm not an exile.
Oh. Okay, that's playing with the semantics here.
You see, I refuse to accept the plight of being in exile or a refugee, even if technically that's what I am. I've told my people that I'm on a mission, I'm on a move, and the final destination is going to be Kampala, Uganda.
In the foreseeable future, soon or?
I'll say sooner than later.
Sooner than later?
Yeah. I'm not relaxed here. I am doing what I need to do. It's another front now. As you are aware that with time Uganda became unlivable. Museveni's unhinged son is not pretending anymore, you know, and that in one way or another is helping us justify all the claims that have been made before us in our tenure and everywhere that indeed Uganda is a mess. So this and many other justifications we are presenting to the world stage, well knowing that Uganda largely depends on the rest of the world. Yeah.
The leader of opposition, Joel Senyonyi, said that when you fight corruption, corruption fights back. I would say the same on dictatorship.
Absolutely.
Regarding, you know, what we see in Uganda, and you saying that you will be there sooner than later, that's still now emboldened. They're actually getting emboldened. When are you going to go back? Because the situation is not going to change. Are you waiting for things to change completely?
No, Mordecai, on the contrary, the situation is going to change. We've been taught before that it gets worse
before it gets better.
Before it gets better. Naturally, it is darkest before dawn.
Agambye the situation is going to change. Era essaawa yonna agenda kubeera ng'akomawo mu ggwanga erya Uganda okusinziira ku bigambo byogenda maaso n'okuba ng'owulira. Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu yakoonyeeko ku nsonga za Muhoozi Kainerugaba. Kyokka nkugambye n'omukutu gw'amawulire ogwa The Times mu ggwanga erya Bungereza gwawandiise ekiwandiiko namutayiika ku Muhoozi Kainerugaba n'ebimu ku bye baayise ebikolobero ebigenda maaso n'okuba nga bikolebwa mu ggwanga erya Uganda. Kati Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu ebigambo bye yayogedde bye njagala okuba nga tutambulirako mbikuwe byonna mu bujjuvu nkusomere n'ekiwandiiko ekinnyonnyola obulungi ennyo ensonga zino nga bwe zigenda maaso n'okuba nga zitambula. Wuliriza. Mu interview eyo Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu yannyonnyodde lwakyali bweru wa ggwanga era lwakyali mu ggwanga lya United States of America. Jjukira tuzze nga tukuwa ezimu ku achievements zagenze nga atuukako offices ez'enjawulo zabadde nga atuukamu abakungu ab'enjawulo babadde nga asisinkana na buli mbeera yonna nga bwegenda maaso n'okuba nga efaanana byonna obadde ng'obifuna. Kakati mukadde kano nyongera okukutegeeza nti Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu abakungu ne offices ez'enjawulo zasobodde okugenda maaso n'okuba nga asisinkana byonna byongera ettaffaali eddene kulwanira enkyukakyuka mu ggwanga erya Uganda. Kati wakugamba nti essaawa yonna ateekateeka okudda mu ggwanga erya Uganda ebiseera ebisinga eba embeera tegenda kuba kyekimu. Waliwo ekiwandiiko ekyafulumye nga kino kye kirimu ensonga zino zonna mwe yasinzidde ogenda maaso n'okuba nga nnyonnyola lwaki ali mu ggwanga eryo era lwaki ali mu buwaŋŋanguse bwe tuyinza okukiyita lwaki ali mu exile ng'abasinga obungi bwe bagenda maaso n'okuba nga ate bakyogera wabula bino byenkuleetedde bye njagala omanye nga bw'ogenda mu comment section n'oteekamu obubaka bwo ku nsonga zino zennyini tetugenda maaso n'okuba nga tukutuusaako ate tubeere nga tutambulira ddala ffenna bino n'ebiwandiikiddwa ku General Muhoozi Kainerugaba omukutu gw'amawulire ogwa The Times byenkuleetedde dda bye njagala owulire.
Thank you. What role should education, media, and culture play? Yes. Thank you. I'll try to be as brief as possible because we have quite a number of panelists. But before we talk about what role should education play, I think it's important to look at what role it has and is playing. Then we can decide what it should play. We cannot see where we're going unless we see where we're coming from. I'll start with the role education, what role education has played in shaping African identity. I think education, or rather miseducation, has played quite a major role. In my view, negative. And you will understand I'm speaking as a 44-year-old born in 1982 and inheriting the effects of colonialism and neocolonialism and born into an education system that is meant to channel me and the entire generation into a certain perception. See, we have an education, and largely in Africa, that is teaching us to be servants. An education that has taught us to believe that we are not enough. I don't know how it is in Ghana or in other countries, but until high school we are told about the Canadian prairies, we are told about the traffic jam in New York City, we are talked about the history of America as far as 500, 1,000 years ago, but not talked about the history of Africa just 200-300 years ago, over time of land that has been deliberate. That is why you find, unlike in Japan or in China, an African youth leaving school but learning so much about far away other than Africa. I think that has played a detrimental role, and in order for that education to play a role, it should be centered for self-improvement and focusing on pragmatism, using what we are, focusing on who we are to transform ourselves. It goes further, because most of the education institutions, schools, and tertiary institutions have been religious-based. They're either Catholic schools or Muslim schools and all that. And we must understand, with all due respect to our religions, that religion was a major tool in the colonization of the African mind. And therefore, it is teaching us that we are not enough. It is to teach us that I must have a name Robert, and it must be my first name, and my African name must come next, and so on and on and on and on. That's why I believe that the major thing to do in our education system is to re-educate the next generation, to make sure while we learn, there's a huge effort to unlearn what has not worked and to relearn what has been taught wrongly and differently. That's my view. That should focus on our health, how to develop and purify our own health system and medicines. From where I stand, I have a grandmother that never went to school, but could look after pregnant women and deliver them. That knew the healing of most ailments and sicknesses. Unfortunately, that has been deliberately fought with our education to the extent that the modern pharmaceuticals have actually pushed it down the minds and throats of our people that our traditional medicines are bad. Unfortunately, many of them have lost them, and it has not benefited us. But this begins and falls with leadership, because our leaders know. But the policies have always been influenced from the West. While we blame the West, I think we have to take the blame, because in our case in Uganda, we got independence 64 years ago. For president, our education was focusing on 4 major channels. That is the academics, yes, the arts, the athletics, and agriculture. In my view, that education alone would be able to transform, because we don't only look at being doctors and engineers, but we need to understand that we as African people, our bodies are blessed with that ability. How about we understand and study the science of abilities so we can own the arts and the athletics way, like it has been in the history that has been wrapped away from us. That is my view about our education. In order to shape our African identity, it has to be shaped in Africa, with African values and with an African agenda. Not teaching, not maintaining the colonial education. 64 years later, in many other countries like Ghana, you got independence way before us. But you will notice that our education still has elements of colonial education. Now, coming to media,